Hello, my name is Chris Jones, and I'm going to be talking to you today about a system I created for voice-controlled home automation utilizing Raspberry Pi and an Arduino. To start off, what I'm going to be talking about, I'll go into why I decided to do this project, and we'll look at the hardware, what components I used, what software I used, and what I created. An overview of the entire system, uh, followed by a demonstration of the system, and then a summary. So why did I do this project? As we all know, speech recognition software is becoming more and more robust. With products like Google Now and Siri, voice control of systems is becoming a viable option. So I wanted to see if I could take some speech recognition software and implement it in a way as to control different aspects of a house. I wanted to be able to enable user to control the system by only utilizing their voice and make it so it's extendable for future models. Because I think we can all agree that voice control is the future. So let's start off by looking at some of the hardware components I used. To start off, I use a Raspberry Pi B+, which has a miniature Wi-Fi module, a microphone and speakers, and then is hooked up through a breadboard to an XB module, Series 1 802.1.4, and then a SparkFun temperature sensor, along with some LEDs and limiting resistors. The other part was the Arduino Duomo Lenovo, which has a Adafruit PN532 RFID reader shield, and then another shield on top with a breadboard where I attached my the other XB module along with a button to simulate a doorbell and some wires to simulate switches. So let's look at the software components that I used. The first one is Jasper. Jasper is an open source voice recognition library which was developed by two MIT students. They wrote it in Python for the Raspberry Pi. And then the original software, it provided this main class which housed a conversation and then the brain and the notifier. The brain is where all the speech to text and text to speech translation happens. You talk to into your microphone, which is picked up by this mic. This creates a WAV file, which is sent to the brain, is translated to text, and then the brain picks the appropriate module, does the work, and then replies through the mic to the speakers with the appropriate speech. The profile is a basic profile with some demographic and account information in it. The notifier is a way of getting notifications of push notifications basically from like email and maybe Facebook or whatever you want. I created this house class, which is a way of interfacing with the brain and the Raspberry Pi's GPIO. And then the door class, which is a way of getting information from the Arduino about the door and then updating or talking through like the mic to um, let you know statuses of the door. The other piece of software was the Arduino. This here I utilized the Adafruit libraries for the RFID reader. This enabled me to be able to read RFID tags and be able to get the information off the RFID tag to verify the appropriate tag. And then I also created the software that handles the door controls like the doorbell and the open and door switch. So for an overview of the system functions, as we said earlier, Jasper natively provides modules for email and social networking and weather. Added modules to control things like lighting and HVAC system in the front door. Jasper will listen for keywords and then it parses the text of valid strings for control statements. It'll listen for its initial prompt, which is Jasper, and then it'll tell you that it heard you, and then you can give it a statement such as turn on the living room lights, or change the thermostat to 65 degrees, or various other statements, which it'll then parse that text for valid keywords, such as in the case of turn on the living room lights, it looks for lights, and then on in living room to be able to perform that action. For the Arduino, this handles all the signals from the front door. As we can see from this flow chart here, it looks for the doorbell being pressed, and then or the NFC tag being present or door being open, and from there it'll, like the doorbell, it'll send a signal, a byte, to the Raspberry Pi through the XB, which says that the doorbell has been pressed, or the NFC tag, it checks to make sure it's valid, then sends a byte that says it's valid, etc. The Arduino will send a byte from to the Raspberry Pi. This byte is consists of 2-bit nibbles. The first nibble is basically a validation, just to say that this is a valid byte from that, or that is for the door control. And then the second part of it gives a status of what's happening, is the doorbell being pressed, or a valid tag present, or the door is open. Okay, so now we'll go through a little demonstration of some of the functions of this system. To start off, we'll take a look right here. You can see we have 3 LED lights. These represent the living room, dining room, and kitchen lights. There's 2 more lights over here that represent the heating system, or heating and AC, and then 2 more lights over here that represent the front door. To start off, whenever you want to give a command, you have to initiate contact by calling it by its name, and then once it beeps at you and tells you that it's ready for input, you give it the command that you want, tell it what to do. So we'll start off with turning on the living room light. So Jasper, turn on the living room light.
Changing the lights in living to off.
Didn't quite get what I told it, so we'll try it again. Jasper, turn on the living room light.
Changing the lights in living to on.
You'll see the light turn on. Jasper, turn off the kitchen light.
Changing the lights in kitchen to off. New email from Jared Romano.
And as you hear there too, it tells me whenever I receive an email. Next we'll look at the heating system. We'll see how warm it is in here. Jasper. 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 What is the current temperature?
The current temperature is 75 degrees.
It's a little warm, so we'll turn down the heat. Jasper. Jasper. Set the thermostat to 55 degrees.
Setting the thermostat to 55 degrees.
So now we'll see within 30 seconds here the heat will turn off. There it goes. Set it to a 30-second just to make sure that it's not constantly updating from the thermostat and taking up the CPU time. Next we'll look at the door. So over here we have the Arduino, which is set up to be our door controller. Right here is the doorbell, so once I press this, Jasper will start notifying me that there's someone at the door.
There is a visitor at the door.
And you hear it tell me there's a visitor at the door.
The door is closed and locked.
And every time the status changes, it tells you that the door is closed and locked. Here's our key card. Once we swipe this over the RFID reader, it'll open and unlock the door for us, and the light will turn green.
The door is unlocked. Welcome home.
And Jasper greets us.
The door is closed and locked.
And then it relocks the door and tells us that the door is locked. And then here's a little wire that represents a switch on the door to say whether it's open or not.
The door is open.
And then once we put that back, it tells us the door is closed
and locked.
So that's just a basic overview of what Jasper can do. There were some other functions that I built into it, all along with some stuff that came prepackaged with it. But this should give you a basic idea of what it can do. So to summarize, I gave you the purpose of my project, how voice control is a thing of the future, and this is a way of utilizing those controls. We looked at the hardware I utilized, the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino and the various components attached to those. Some of the software libraries I utilize, Jasper and Adafruit 532 software, and then also the stuff that I created, the different Jasper modules and the door control. They give you an overview of how the system works, looking at the flow of the Arduino and how the Jasper modules work, and then I gave you a basic demonstration of how this all works. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.